Are you the kind of person that has to have everything just so, just right, your way, no way, or the highway?
What do you mean they don't speak English here? What is this, Mexico? Welcome back to Chris and Jackie. I'm Chris. This is my lovely wife, Jackie. And you're in tune to our series, Aprende Más, that gives you a little glimpse into small town life in San Miguel, the things that those tourist videos will not show you.
Correct.
So today we are talking about things that maybe you should avoid, like Mexico, if you can't deal with these particular issues. Because, you know, we talk about Mexico a lot, and we've been here for a while, and you'll see other people in the space who give you that impression that Mexico is the paradise, it's the greatest thing, you should leave and come here. And it is wonderful. It is great. It doesn't mean that it's easy to be here. It doesn't mean that everything that goes on here is something you're going to be able to deal with.
Correct.
We're all different. We all have our different tolerances and our levels that we can kind of handle.
And different needs.
And different needs.
Correct.
So if you come here or if you don't come here, think about these things just in case before you make your decision, because there may be some things that you're not ready to deal with. And I think one of the first things we'll talk about is the fact that you will have to learn another language. As much as they may say San Miguel in particular, or places like Puerto Vallarta, Merida, where there's a lot of a big expat community,
Cancun.
They'll say they're gentrified. They say they're tailored to Americans or tailored to tourists. And in some respects, they are true. There are places where you can go here more so that people speak English.
But that's only if you stay within a bubble.
That's if you stay within the bubble.
Like
if you're in
yeah.
the Central Historical areas just outside of it where tourists tend to come, and it's not just American tourists, it's tourists from within Mexico, it's tourists from around the world. You know, I didn't necessarily learn about San Miguel until the past couple of years, but it seems like everybody else knew.
Everybody knew.
You know, so there are people from all over the world here, and English is a common language around the world. So it makes sense for them to be able to speak some English. But you will notice that their English is limited, just as well as our Spanish, as we're learning, is very limited as well. So if you're not ready to come here and embrace the language, learn the language, you may not have to be fluent, but at least have enough respect, I think, to show them to say, hey, I want to learn how to communicate with you in the language that you speak.
Correct.
In the same way that people look at, you know, Mexican immigrants coming to America and like, well, you have to learn English. This is an American country. And like, you know what? It sounds ignorant, but it is true. You're in someone else's country. You should learn the language in order to accommodate them. You're a guest here. So what do you say about that? We're still in the process of learning our English.
Spanish.
Obviously, you see, I'm still learning my English. But learning Spanish, and it's not even just Spanish. There is a Mexican dialect of Spanish. So there's things that you'll learn on Duolingo or in other places, and they'll look at you like,
that's not it.
That's not how we say it.
Right, that's true.
Yeah.
Like even Google Translate will take you down the wrong path, right?
Yeah.
You know, I was looking for some clear nail polish, and I'm so glad our babies were here because, you know, we have two children, our daughter-in-law and our son, who are both biliterates, so they can read, write, and speak Spanish.
Yeah.
So, but I wanted to show off, like, I'm going into the little, you know, to the beauty supply store looking for some nail polish. All I wanted was clear, and then I'm just like, Blanco? But that's not really clear. Como se dice? And then I go to Google Translate, and then it's like, I repeated what it was, and I showed it to them. And they were like, yo no sé. And then here comes Landy. She goes, sin colores, or something like that.
Sin colores, yeah,
so
without
like,
color.
No, without color. It's like, oh, I'm like, man, you know what I mean? So it could be something so simple, you know?
Yeah. And sometimes you have to resort to like maybe sticking an O or an A onto the end of an American word
sometimes.
or an English word. You know, transparento. Like, no, that didn't work.
That didn't work.
It'll work like maybe, you know, 25% of the time you'll get away with that. But yeah, if you plan on coming here, learn the language, learn enough of the language to at least make a respectable person of yourself. Right. Know how to go into a restaurant, order some food, know how to get a cab around town.
Yeah.
So that people can, you know, at least know that you want to be here and you want to be part of their culture and part of their community. You're not here just to take. And I think that kind of gives off that signal of, you're someone who's come here just to take, because you aren't even willing to learn the language, and fit yourself into the culture. You're just here for whatever benefits you think you can get out of it. And I think, speaking to that, the next point we're looking at is the fact that Mexico is the same, right? Things aren't really as different as they may seem. There are differences between the U.S. and Mexico for sure, but there are things here that, you know, this is not paradise. This is not a crime-free zone. This is not a place where, you know, people say it's friendlier, and yes, it is friendlier in general. But there's still be people here that still hate you, that don't like you because of the way you look, because of where you're from. You know, as we're doing this and, you know, growing our audience a little more, we get those comments on YouTube and on social media of like, hey, you're a gringo, you're a gentrifier, go back where you came from. You know, you still get that kind of stuff.
He deletes those messages before I read them.
I mean, they're not useful for anything. Like, there are people who say things that are a real conversation. So one guy was like, hey, we were talking about the safety and working with police. And he's like, hey, don't have any trust in police. Like, it's not as bad as America, but it's still not all gravy here.
Right.
And make sure you know the language. Like, it's really important. Because he had a run-in with the police, and he didn't know the language, and the other person can tell whatever story they want to in Spanish, and you, like, have no recourse. You have no idea what they're talking about. So you're left out on, you know, on the hook for whatever may be going on. So understand that, you know, as you get here, companies are going to be jerks. People are going to be jerks the same way they are in America. You're going to run into racism here in some form.
You're going to have noisy neighbors.
You are always going to have noisy neighbors.
Unless you live out in the...
If you live in the middle of Texas somewhere and there's no one around you, I mean, even then, it's probably coyotes or something out there howling. You know, you can't get away from a barking dog on this planet. I don't think that's possible. Even right now, you may be able to catch a little bit in the background of some dogs barking, old Snowbird and Snowflake across the street, and,
we named our
and Sultan
dogs
across the street the other way, and whatever the other dog on the bottom level is. But, you know, there's always sort of these things that are similar that maybe you just expect to be different because you're in a different country. But like for you, what are some of the things that you came here that are maybe too close to America that maybe you didn't realize?
Yeah, I really was thinking more paradisey, you know, more quiet, more calm, if you will. And that calm really is just about the quiet and, you know, because it's so beautiful here. I mean, the sun shines, I mean, almost really 90% of the year, right? Sun is shining, there are beautiful palm trees, these beautiful flowers and vines that grow. And, you know, but you can hear every bump, every lump, every tire that rolls up and down these specific streets because San Miguel is built on cobble. You know, they paved the roads with cobblestone. And that's part of the allure for the visitors. But when you really are here longer than, like, you know, 3 minutes, 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, you're like, man, I promise you, I don't need to see another cobblestone in my life. And for anyone who's been in the States, Baltimore City, in Fells Point, there's cobble in, was it Georgetown in D.C.? Like
Savannah, Charleston.
Savannah, so you can get an idea. But those are just historical centers, you know, in the States that'll have them. Boston, I think, may have some too, I'm sure. But here, the whole city, I mean, a good 5 to 10 square miles. Cobble. And so it's the noise level. I don't know. I really did. I thought it'd be quieter. It ain't. You're welcome.
I would say also the weather, because, you know, it is perpetual spring here. Year round, you're going to hit a high of 70 at least pretty much every day. There was maybe 1 or 2 days where we got to maybe 50s or 60s. It was overcast or something like that. But in general, it's a nice warm spring temperature. But at night,
it gets chilly.
In your concrete home that has no insulation in the walls, it's just all solid concrete, it can get really chilly. If you don't have windows, you know, don't have a lot of windows, it gets really cold in there. So as much as I was expecting it to be, you know, beautiful primavera butterflies and hummingbirds, which are all here.
Yeah, they are.
But at nighttime it gets kind of chilly. You're gonna have to turn some heat on, or you're gonna have to put a little blanket on
Space
or something.
heater. Yeah, it's true.
Wrap a scarf around your head, which I'm notorious for.
Like
you got to keep your head warm.
He wrapped his head like a turban.
I don't have no hair. I'm bald. All
Lord.
your body heat loses through your head. That's scientific
So
fact.
funny.
So you wrap it up, keep it warm. But yeah, it's some things that you thought you were going to be different that aren't as different as maybe they seem. But on the flip side of that, one other reason to maybe avoid coming here if you're not ready for it is that while there are a lot of things that are the same, there are a lot of things that are very different. A lot of ways people engage with you, a lot of rules. I think one thing I've noticed lately, where I've heard a lot, is that Mexicans don't like to say no, just culturally. So they'll say yes and don't mean it.
They'd rather lie.
They'd rather lie than disappoint you and say no, which is,
disappointing.
I think for somebody like me in particular who appreciates just straight up brutal honesty most of the time, just say what you're going to say. Like if you tell me yes, I expect your yes to mean yes.
I'm expecting
and your no to be no.
Right.
And like, I think maybe if you're here long enough, you can like pick up the cultural sensitivity of when that yes is actually a no.
Yeah.
You can read it on their face maybe or something. But I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
So I don't know when the yes is a no. You reach out to companies and things and expect to hear back quickly, and they are on, Mexican time.
It's a no. Or not yet. It's either like a no or a not yet.
Yeah.
And it's very challenging because oftentimes you actually need that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I need you to stick and stay.
Yeah.
And
there's certain things to learn, like if somebody says mañana, which we think is tomorrow just means not
Later.
Today.
Not today.
There's also the word ahorita, which is like ahora, which means now. But ahorita is like now, but not really now. Now, sometime soon in the future.
You teaching me something, y'all. Okay. Well, you
So like,
learning
yeah,
that. Was that Duolingo?
It's kind of like if you asked me to do something, I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna do it right now, baby.
Understood.
And then it don't get done for 2-3 days.
Husband time.
There you go. See, now you understand ahorita.
I get it.
I'm gonna actually start using that a little more now because
You
it makes sense. It actually fits into my new lexicon and my language.
That.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah.
You're good. You are biliterate in that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, depending on where you live, you may not actually be able to go like to a Walmart or Target and get everything you need.
Yeah, like you sometimes get the piecemeal your shopping list.
Yeah.
It is really true, especially if you want to be more local, you can go to, for example, Soriana, or La Comer. We say La Comer, but I don't really think that's the right way of saying it. But you could go to a La Comer City Market too. And they have pots and pans and different things, almost like in the States we would say like a super Walmart or a super Target.
Yeah.
So you have those options, but if you're trying to wean yourself off a big box, then you will have to piecemeal and go to this store for your kitchen goods, or another store for your, like for example, there are butchers, right? Butchers that'll have just pork and beef. And then there's going to just be your chicken butcher who only carries chicken and eggs.
Yep.
So, and then your fruit stand, so it is interesting, depending on how you want to live. And then, of course, for us in San Miguel, there is no Walmart yet. Only a rumor that it's coming.
Yeah, there the signs are up.
Yeah, the signs are saying it's coming.
The big support poles in the ground, but the rest of it has not gone anywhere.
There ain't no concrete yet. The Sam ain't here.
And I'm not necessarily excited about a Walmart.
For the record, because we don't necessarily need it.
Right.
But 45 minutes to an hour away, you have Querétaro, and there's Costco and Sam's and big old beautiful, mall, 3-story malls. So it really is what is it that you need, but it's different. There's a difference for sure.
Yeah, and I think, like, to me, the Walmart is a street. So like we used to live off of Cinco de Mayo. Not everything, a lot of what you needed was on the street of Cinco de Mayo. And now we live in Las Brisas, so I think it's Avenida Colonial. Has kind of everything you need on it. So last time I went shopping, there was the Polleria on the corner, so I got chicken and eggs. Walk up the street another block, and there was the Fruiteria. And then I go across the street, there was the Butcher Dos Hermanos. So I got beef and pork from there. So it's kind of like, still everything's really in a small space. But some of those sort of odd things you don't think of, like I need an extension cord or I need, you know, weird mixing bowls or things like that, you kind of have to figure out where they are.
Because it could be someone selling out of their house.
Yep.
Walking right by you, like, what in the world? She got a wild whisk. Let me get that whisk from her.
Yep.
Or Tianguis, go up to the market. Right? It's very interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of things. Some things are under one roof, but most of it, the culture, the way it's set up, it's in separate spaces.
Yeah. So that's a little bit about some of the things that maybe you want to think twice about before you come here. So one is making sure that you are ready to pick up a language to some extent. And also realizing that when you come here, things are going to be the same and things are also going to be different.
At the same time.
And usually the things that you want to be the same will not be the same. And the things you want to be different may not be different.
Come on now.
You know.
Sneaking and preaching here, y'all.
You can't ever have things exactly the way you want to. The goal is you're going to have to come here and adapt. And if you aren't ready to adapt, stay home.
It's true.
Yeah.
No, it's really true. He said it. There's nothing else I can say to that.
Yeah.
Except Kuadate. I beat him.
So again, like, comment, subscribe. Watch another video.
Please and thank you.
And we will see you next week. Yes. Chris and Jackie, Aprende Más. I do want to give y'all a heads up before we go out. What you see on the YouTube channel may be evolving over the next few weeks. So keep an eye out on that. Stay tuned. We want to serve you a little bit better, serve you well, a little bit more specific. So maybe we'll break out into 2 different channels with something else. There's some surprises coming. And for all of you who are like, hey, why isn't Jackie cooking? She's a chef. All y'all yelling daily about Jackie cooking something, you will be satisfied in the next couple weeks. So, I mean, you may not be able to taste it depending on where you are. Sucks for you. Come here. Learn to adapt.
Come visit.
But yeah, we will see y'all next time. Peace, y'all.